Hi, my name is Dick Adamowicz. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. My BCCA number is 344. I've been collecting beer cans for 19 years, and I've been an avid dump hunter for at least 18. My collection has been built basically on dump cans that I've dumped myself or traded for. And I have amassed a large collection. In fact, it got so big that I had to decide to get rid of part of it or move out, one or the other. So now all I collect is Great Lakes States cans pre-1976. And I'm still having fun because I still go dumping. And I think that is a large part of the fun for most of the people in this hobby yet. Now, I can relate to most of my collection just by looking on my shelves and seeing cans that I dumped or traded for and relive the good times I had doing it. Now, I specialize in Michigan cans first and then the rest of the state. So I have all my Michigan collection up on one wall, and on this wall here I have one shelf up from each of the other 7 Great Lakes states. Part of my collection every now and then. The rest of it's all in boxes and in the back room. But without dumping, I couldn't have all these rare cans. I know a lot of people only collect mint, and that's their way of doing it. But for me, I enjoy the dumping part of it, and if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't even be in a hobby anymore. But this video is not to tell you about my collection, but it's something I've always wanted to do, is to give my version of how to clean cans. So that's what this video is all about. Through the years, I've heard of several different ways of cleaning cans, and everybody tells me that that's the best way, and I've tried them all, and every time I go back to the old reliable oxalic acid. To me, it does the best job, and the only way to explain it is to do it and let you be the judge and see if you think that it's the best way or not. I've been dumping here just a couple of weeks ago, and I got a bunch of cans out back to be cleaned. And if you'll bear with me, we'll go through the whole process the way I do it and see what you think of it. So let's get busy and go out there and clean some cans. As you can see, I've been cleaning cans for a couple of days now, and I got some done already. I've got the acid and everything. But before I put them in the acid, the most important part of the whole deal is washing the cans. It's also the most boring part. It's a lot of fun finding the cans, and it's a lot of fun taking them out of the acid and seeing the end results. But in between, you got all this dirt on these cans. You got to wash it off. This helps preserve your acid, and it lets your acid work a lot better if it doesn't have to eat through dirt besides the rust. So it's a very important part of the cleaning of the cans. I use a good pair of rubber gloves. I've got all my equipment. I got hot soapy water, I got rinse water, I got a scrub brush, I got a rag, I got a church key in case there's holes that need to be punched in the cans. I got a putty knife here to scrape off a lot of gook if there's on the cans. So I'm all set. I saved enough cans here to show you how I go about cleaning them before I put them in the acid. Now, if you bring home any amount of cans at all, this could be a 2-afternoon job. You just don't do it in lickety-split. I know a lot of people, all they do is they bring the cans home and they throw them in the acid, and that's it. And you can tell by what their cans look like when they have them in their cases that shows. If you do the job properly, you'll get some exciting results. especially if the cans are going to go in your collection or if they're rare cans, like this one here, the powder blue Brewery series can. You don't see too many of them, so you try to get it to come out as best as you can. But like I said, if you come home with a lot of cans, this job here gets boring after a while because it takes so long to do. But it's also very important. Now this can's only got one hole punched in it. So I punch another hole in there so I have easy access for the water to get in. Now I'm not going to go through that whole box of cans because this film would get awful boring if that's all I did. But it's just to give you an idea of what we do and all you got to go through. A lot of people think these cans come for free, but really there's a lot of work involved in it, a lot of time, and a lot of expense. I myself have to travel about 400 miles before I get in any good dumping territory. And the price of gasoline and lodging and everything. So it's really not free. But having the fun of finding them offsets the expenses. Okay, now that's just part of it, but I want to show you, we're going to take 12 cans that I have picked aside here. I've got, well, 13 cans actually. I got 7 cone tops and crown containers and 7 flats, and we're going to take them through the whole process, and they're going to be the first cans that I put in the acid. And we're going to see the results of how they look before I wash them, after they're washed, and after they come out of the acid. Now, a little bit on the oxalic acid. I know a lot of people think it's awful expensive because they have to buy it from the drugstore a pound at a time, and it costs anywhere from $5, $6 or even more. But if you can find somebody that can get it through work in 50 or 100 pound bags like we do, usually 2 or 3 guys go in and buy 100 pounds and you can get it for like $1 a pound. Then I like to put it in 1 pound containers because I use a bucket like this. I put 1 pound of acid in, fill it with water, hot water from the tap, and it'll clean anywhere from 150 to 250 cans, especially if you wash them out good. The cleaner the cans are, the more cans you can put in the acid and get them clean. Now each batch you put in, the first batch I usually leave in for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then the next batch 45 minutes, and just keep adding on like 15 minutes each batch. And then about the 6th batch I leave them in for 4 or 5 hours, and anything after that you can leave them in overnight. And right now I've got a batch going here. I've cleaned, oh, probably 150 cans already. Now this batch I'll leave in here all day, and I'll take them out just before bedtime, put a new batch in, and then leave those in overnight. What I do after I wash these cans, I take out the ones that I think are going to go in my collection and the real rare cans, and those are the ones I use first in the acid, because that's when the acid's the strongest and you'll get the best results. After that, I take and I put the rest of the cans in 3 categories. I'll take the real rusty ones, those that are just partially rusty, and then the better ones. And I'll do the rusty ones first, and then the next ones, and so forth. As the acid gets weaker, they don't have as much rust to get off the cans. So let's take a look at these cans I got picked out now, and we'll mix the acid and we'll get busy. Alright, these are the cans I picked out to put in our first batch of acid. Now I got several things I want to show you beforehand now. First of all, when I get my acid, I usually break it down into 1 pound containers, and I use these Pringle cans. It stores the acid and keeps it nice and dry. And when I'm ready to use it, I know there's a 1 pound box of acid here, and I just throw the whole thing in the tub. Next, this is very important, rinse water. Once you get the cans out of the acid, a lot of people just rinse them in plain water. If you do that, you'll find in like 3 or 4 weeks times the cans will start re-rusting again, like the acid is just working against you. But if you put them in a solution of baking soda in water, the baking soda tends to neutralize the acid, and it keeps the cans from re-rusting on it. After you get it out of I leave that in there for probably 5 or 10 minutes, and then I just dunk them quickly in just plain water, because the baking soda will leave kind of a white film on the can too. And then I just throw them out in the grass and let them dry. And when they're dry, then I put them in these boxes here, and I kind of keep them in grade order, so to speak. Now, some of them ain't going to come out good enough for be traders, and some of them are going to be super traders and so forth. So I put them in boxes like that, and decide which ones I'm going to keep for traders and which ones are going to go into the Rusty Bunch dump. Now, a couple other hints here. I've got a little tool here. A lot of times you'll find cans that are nice, but they're dented. I made a little tool that's rounded out here that I can take the dents out. Don't ever use a screwdriver because you leave pock marks in the cans. I've got cans in here that are dented, and we'll go through that process later on. If you don't have a tool like this, you can buy these tack pullers. This in here is a little short, but you can get longer ones, and they work just as well. They got a nice smooth side to them so that you can pop the dents out real nice for you. Out in the field, now a lot of times you'll go out dumping and you'll find cans that are rusty and you can't tell what they are. They're mystery cans, and you want to bring some home, but you don't have the room. Well, 9 times out of 10 there's nothing going to show on the can, but there's always that chance that the cans will come out real good, and you wish you really knew if they would or not. Well, I got what I call a mini lab. I buy this Muriatic acid. You can buy it in any boat supply store. They use it to clean the boats off in the fall of the year when they take them out. They mix this with 5 parts water. But if you pour yourself a little bottle of this and use it straight with a toothbrush, and you're out in the field and you get a mystery can, you can dunk the toothbrush in this and rub it on a can, and if there's any paint at all on that can, it'll show right now. I'd also take a bottle of water with me to rinse it off before it eats through the can. I'm not saying this works better than oxalic acid, it just works faster. And it'll give you an idea if it's worth picking up the can or not. What else do we have here? I've got spare parts. A lot of times I'll find cans that have no label on them, but they're really solid cans, and I'll cut the lids off of them, the bottoms off of them, and I use them for spare parts. If I get a can that's really dented bad, I'll take a grinding wheel and I'll grind the top off or the bottom off, and I'll put it on the straightener and bang it out, which we'll do later on. And I've got these spare parts that I put on. Okay, we're all set now. We're going to use the acids. So let's get busy and see what these cans. I'll take a good look at these, and we'll see what they turn out like. Okay, we're going to start cleaning them cans I had up there and showed you. We'll set them right here because they're going to be the first ones in. Like I said, this is a job that has to be done. Some of these look like they're cleaning up pretty good just with water. Remember, when you work with the oxalic acid, you got to use rubber gloves to protect your hands. Always use it on the outside so you don't have any fume problems. I try to pick out cans in various stages of rust. Now, the cone tops and the crown tainers are in pretty sad shape. It's hard to find any good ones anymore. The way I look at it is this is probably the last good decade of beer can dumping. And if we don't preserve the cans now, there's not going to be any old cans for the collectors of the future. A lot of you might wonder why I keep dumping cans when I got all I can use and then some. Well, I'm looking for the future of the hobby. When we're gone, and we want the hobby to continue on, there's not going to be any old cans for the newer collectors coming on. We're it. I mean, what we preserve, that's going to be it as far as the old cans. So if we want our hobby to grow in the future, we're going to have to start going out there and collecting these old cans, even if they're common cans. Like, I never pass up a Johnny Piper or a Global can just because it's common flat top, and I got a lot of them. And someday we hope to have our hobby grow that we're going to have 10,000, 20,000 collectors, and if we want that, we're going to have cans for them. We're the guys that's got to do it. Okay, I got those 13 cans washed. I got 2 tubs. That tub will hold 15 cans, and this one will hold 13 or 14 cans. So when I go dumping, if I get a lot of cans, I'll use 2 batches of acid. If I only get under 200, I only use 1 batch. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to use 2 batches and show you how I do it. This is the acid. I got it already in a 1-pound container. Throw it in a tub. Got hot tap water. Pour it in there to mix it up. Put in just enough to cover the top of the cans. Put on my gloves. Then we'll go to cans. First batch of cans I'm going to leave in for about 20 minutes. Now, crown tainers are always a surprise. It seems that they look real bad, but they got that silver undercoating paint on them, and you can get some really nice cans out of them sometimes. Not all the time, but they're the most surprising of the cans. You never can figure out a crown tainer. That's why I chose to do this first batch and show you with flats and cones and crown tainers. Okay, we got them in there now. So while they're cooking, I want to show you how I straighten out some of the cans that are dented. So just bear with me a minute here. Okay, we have some dented cans here. They've already been cleaned in the acid and everything. So I take my tool. You can see the dent in that can. And if it doesn't work out where the opening is, just punch another hole in it. It ain't going to hurt it, but it can. Then you kind of work your way around it. Once you straighten it out, then you find a high spot. You take a plastic mallet and just tap that high spot. There, you can straighten out. Here's another one. Another one straightened out. Now, occasionally you'll find a real good can that's really smashed bad. Now, I've already tried to dent this one out as good as I could, and that's as best as I can get it. So in a case like this, I'll take a grinding wheel and I'll grind the bottom off of this can. Now, I don't know if there's enough light for this to show, but if there isn't, I'll be right back in a couple of minutes with the bottom off of this. Okay, I got her ground off enough, I can just pull the bottom right off of that can. Now I take my little magic tool here. I had this made at work, back when I was working. And I'll put the can on that. And then I just hopefully it's going to work. It usually does. I'm going to have to punch a hole in it. Here's my opener. Any other time it worked that off the first time around. This time it ain't done it. Well, some of them are easier than others to do. This one must know it's on tape, so it's going to give me a hard time. Side of the hammer, take out all the dents. Now I got, so I'm going to take the rim off now on the grinder. Well, let's see how we got. Yeah, a little bit more. That ought to do it. Take a little file and do the inside a little bit. Put it back on the bottom. Now I got my spare parts here. So I'm going to match a bottom for this can. That looks like a pretty good one right here. So what do? Is you take a pair of long nose pliers and kind of make an accordion effect so that the can will be able to slip on inside. Like that. Put the lid on it. Tap it down. There you have it. That was your smashed can with the bad bottom on it. I'm not sure, you might be able to hear a little noise in the background. You'll have to bear with it. Somebody's cutting grass over here. But anyway, part I forgot is the baking soda. This is the rinse water now. You pour the baking soda in a bucket, and then you go get a bucket of tap water. I believe our cans are about ready to come out. Let's hope for the best. Let's shove that aside. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got. Not too shabby. Like I said, I put different stages of rust in here, so some of them are going to come out better than others. This was one of the mystery cans, this next one, and it's going to be a surprise. This is one of the cans we couldn't even see what the label said on it. Look how that turned out. The thing about these Brewery series cans, there's so many different ones, and a lot of people like to display them from the side of the can instead of the front of the can anyway. So if you display it from the side of the can, you can really get some really nice results, but not always in the front. Now here's a Bosch can. This is the first Bosch can from the Upper Peninsula. You don't find too many of them anymore, and when you do, they're not even worth picking up. But this one looks like it's going to turn out pretty decent. Some cans have better paint on them than others, but that's not too bad for a Bosch can. Even washing these cans, you're going to get stuff in them yet, even after you do wash them in the water and soap. That can't be helped. Well, it's a Bohemian Club from Chicago. I'm anxious to see what them crown painters are going to look like. Now, this is a Haas cone top. We'll save the crown painters for last. Now this was kind of an iffy can to begin with. But being it was so rare, I had to take a chance with it. But it don't look like it's going to come out too good. It's an Altus Brisk crown painter. You win some, you lose some. Another Altus Brisk. That isn't going to come out too good either. Doesn't look like I picked out too many good cone tops to put in to show you how they come out in oxalic acid, but you couldn't really read that can at all when I put it in. Well, there's another step to cleaning cans. Now, this Haas, the red is off the can, but if anybody has worked with Sharpie pens, you'll know that if you put a red Sharpie pen on that, you can make that can look pretty decent. This is the surprise can right here. Something you wouldn't expect to find up in Michigan. I don't know how it got there. I was expecting these to be all Altus crown painters. You can see that this is not an Altus, but it turned out to be a Brooks Jubilee beer. Now we're ready for our second batch. So we'll put them in. Now these I'll have to leave in just a little bit longer than the first batch. When I get through cleaning all these cans, we'll take a group picture and you'll see what we got. Now I'm not going to show you all the cans, because some of them aren't going to come out. But we will get a good amount of them that'll come out real nice. I assure you of that. You fade it out. For our second batch of cans, the first batch is all done. I've had them in baking soda and water, the rinse water, and now we're doing another batch. As you can see, I got a lot of Brewery Series cans out of this last dumping trip. Got the character cans, and a lot of horoscope cans. It's always amazed me how some cans in a dump can be solid rust, and right next to it will be a can that'll have a bottom on it almost like it came out of the store. And hardly any rust on the seam. And it turns out real nice. And then the next can, you can't even see the seam, and there is no bottom on it. Case in point, this can right here came out of the same dump. It's not going to turn out near like that one did. As you can see, it's still got a fairly nice front and one good side. Now somebody that displays them from the side, that wouldn't be too bad a can for them. This can seems to be coming out pretty decent all the way around, well, except for a minor hole on the bottom on the back. But if most of you are like I am, I don't have mirrors on my walls, and all I can see is the front of the can. Character can. There's a can we found up in Minnesota while I was dumping with Jack Muriatic in White Lakes, Minnesota. Neuweiler Bock. Now I found this can without this little side patch on it, which is a new can for my collection. I just wish that it would have came out as good as this one did. Of all the series cans from the Brewery's collection, the powder blue is probably the rarest, no doubt about it. And in my estimation, the second rarest is the pink one. That's this one here. It's a kind of a fuchsia color, but most people call it pink. Another Neuweiler Bock. This is where the opener comes in handy. I don't know where these people got these openers that make such small holes, but now this was a mystery can. Come out super good. This came from Jack Muriatic's dump up in White Lakes. It's a Berghoff Light. Incidentally, we got some Berghoff Darks, which is not in any book. It's the same can as this one, only it's blue instead of red. While on my trip, I did a lot of dumping by myself. But I also made 2 stops along the way, and I hunted with Jack Muriatic up in White Lakes, Minnesota. And Then I hunted with John Aho, another rusty buncher from Crystal Falls, Michigan. And I had a super time with both of them. And yes, we found cans in both cases. There's another one of the rare blue Brewery's cans. Now, I've heard this can called the square-shouldered hawk and the German eagle. I call it the German eagle myself, but it's one of the rarer global cans, and you don't find too many of them in good shape. It's amazing how some of the cans you'll find that's been sitting out there for years and years and years, that the condition that they're in. And I've got a couple of them that I pulled out and I couldn't believe. I just washed them off in water. They haven't been in acid, but you'd never believe that they were outside all them years. I want to take the time now to show them to you. Okay, well, I was walking on a 2-track up in Upper Michigan and just kicking in a bush here and there. I found a 6-pack of Carling Black Label flat tops. Now, they were just laying along the side of the road. Now, these cans have to be from the early 50s. And this is one of them. And all I did was wash this can in water. It's not been in acid yet. Now, you could almost call that an indoor can. Yet it's been on the outdoors all this time. Now, why is it that some cans turn out like this and other ones you can't even read? And this is another one. This was the back of this can. I just washed it off with water. So there's still good cans out there to find. You just got to get out there and kick around in a bush for them. Now, there's one thing I forgot to do when I was talking about the muriatic acid, using it in the field. When you got cans you don't know if they're going to come out or not. So I picked a couple of cans out, these two right here, just to show you what the muriatic acid works like. Now, we're going to take these down below here and give you a little demonstration of how you can see if there's a label going to come out on them in the field. Now, normally in the field I don't have rubber gloves on, so I'm going to do this without rubber gloves. I don't know if the camera will show the smoke or not, but you can really see the thing smoking as it eats through the rust. Okay, here we go. Now, that'll even come out better when I put it in the Oxalic, but this was just a quick demonstration to show you. Now we'll take this crown cleaner. I have no idea. In fact, I just picked this can up for this purpose. And we're going to test it out. We'll see. Maybe nothing will come out. I have no idea. I can see some color on it, but I'm still not sure what it is. I'm always assuming it's going to be a Altus, and I think that's what it is. Yeah. I can tell that's an Altus, but I can also tell that it's not going to come out. So if there was a big pile of these in the dump, I wouldn't bother picking them up. I'd just leave them lay. Otherwise, I probably would have taken about a dozen of these cans and brought them home and got nothing out of them. Where this one here, I'd have said it was worth picking up, and I'd take a few of these. So I suggest that if you do any dumping at all, that you invest about it. It only cost me about $1.79 for that quart bottle of muriatic acid, and it'll last you a long time. Okay, these are the 13 cans that we put in the first time. You saw how they looked before they were clean. You see the results. Some of them turned out good, some of them didn't. There's no guarantee when you put them in the acid, but it's always a surprise when you get them out and you get a good can. Now, I'm sure I'll get some good traders out of these. Some of them won't get anything out of them, except for the fun of finding them. They're all clean now, and got them in boxes. They've been sorted, and this is what I got for keepers. Now, basically, most of these are going to go in storage after they get their picture taken. I always take the pictures of all the cans I dump. I've been doing that since 1977, and I put them in an album. Then I can go through there every once in a while and relive all the fun times I've had getting the cans. So I'll probably keep a few of these out and put them directly in my trading stock. And the rest of them, like I say, after the pictures are taken, they'll go in storage in apple cartons. Now, the apple cartons make good storage boxes. And I keep a little catalog of what's in each box, and I'll show you what they look like. Each box holds 66 cans. And as you can see, they store pretty nice in here. Now, the apple cartons are a little too tall, and if you want to save on space, what I do is I'll cut off about that much off of each box so that they can fit just too deep. And the way I do that is on a table saw. I'll set the saw and I'll just cut the box off to the size I want it. And they fit nice on the top, and they're sealed real good. And I number the boxes, and I know what's in each box. Now, as most of you know, when you get a case of beer cans today, and you want to use the cases to store your trading stock in, the old cans will not fit in the new boxes. So I have an alternative type box that I use. If you notice, they're square. And each one of these boxes holds 25 cans just perfect. Now, what they are, they're cartons from gallons of paint. You can go to your local paint store, and I'm sure they'll be happy to give you the empty boxes. But what I do is I'll cut them in two, and then I have two boxes to hold my cans in. Now, all the stores don't have these type of boxes. This is another type of box they have, which is even nicer. It's got handles on it. This will hold 25 cans, the older type, real easy. And they store nice because they're square. Now, what I want to do is go through the process of straightening cans again, but this time I want to get a closer closer view of it so you get a better idea instead of the far away shots we had earlier. Now when I went through all the cans, I took out all the dented cans, and this is what I got to fix yet. Some of them just got small dents, but unlike the cans of today, where you pop them right out just by squeezing them, the old steel cans, you can't very well do that. So that's where this tool comes in handy. It'll pop them out nice and easy. And then the little tap of the hammer in the high spots. Now this can hasn't got a hole in the right place, so we're going to have to make our own hole. This was a pretty bad dent, and it hasn't got too solid of a bottom. I'm afraid I'll have to take the top or the bottom off of this one to get that dent out. Some of these just got small dents. They come out real fast. But if you got a nice kind of rare can in good shape and it's dented real bad, you want to at least try to fix it. Now here's another case where the dent is not in the right spot for the holes. This looks like a tough one here. This is another one, if I want to do it any better, I'm going to have to take the bottom off of it. This definitely I'll have to take the bottom off of it. This can normally wouldn't be worth taking the dent out, but I just wanted to show you that you can do it on the smaller cans too. Now the major problem here. This was normally I wouldn't even keep this can because I get a lot of them, but if this was a rare can, I'd want to try to fix it. Before I take the top or bottom off, I want to try to get it as round as I can, so that'll fit on this special cylinder I had made. From here I'm going to have to go over to the grinding wheel now and take the top off of it. Well, we got the top off. Now I can either grind the rest of the rim off of this can, or if it's still in good shape, you can put the bottom back on it. Either the one you took off, or you can make a spare part for it. You got the dent side of the can, you got the bottom back on. Now we can do the same with this one. If it was a rare can, I'd take the bottom off of this one and go through the process. But this will give you an idea of how you can straighten your cans when they get dented, things like that. Now there's one more thing I want to show you that I do to help preserve the cans after they've been in the acid, and that's spray them with the clear acrylic spray. Now this spray is quick drying, and it's either for indoor or outdoor. And it tells you to use either 2 light coats on it better than 1 for better results. So let's give that a try. Put a little paper down there. Got a little shield. Now, like I said, you don't want to do this with all your cans, it'd be too expensive, but any of your better traders or cans that's going to go in your collection and you want them to really look nice once that they've been cleaned, it doesn't hurt to give them a little extra attention like this. So you just hold it back. It will not make the can look shiny or anything like that when it dries. But what it's doing is it's sealing it from the air. Any spots that were rusty will be sealed in and the air won't get to them. This will assure the can of never rusting again for you, as long as you keep it in a nice dry place. Like it says, it's instant drying, so this might be ready for another coat here. I like to especially do the seam parts of these cans because the seams are usually the ones that seem to hold the most rust on them. Then to clean your nozzle out for use again, you turn the can upside down. Well, now that all that we have left is take the group photographs of the cans. That'll be our next project. See all the stuff we got repaired here in just a short length of time. It just takes a few extra minutes, but it's well worth it. Well, the photographs are all taken of the cans are all put away and put on the trade list already, and the pictures are all in the scrapbook so I can look back years to come at that dumping trip. I've been going over my topo maps now, getting ready to go on another dumping trip for maybe next spring. And it looks like I found a pretty good one. Excuse me a minute. Hello. Oh, hi Dave. Yeah, I just finished cleaning the cans, got them all put away, been going over the topo maps. You heard of a good dump? Where at? You say you got some time off and you want to go up there. Well, let's see. Yeah, I can go. When do you want to go? Today? Well, all right. I'll tell you what, I'll pick you up in about 4 or 5 hours. Okay? Okay. Yeah, we'll see you then. All right, bye. That was Dave Want calling. He found somebody gave him a hot tip on a dump, and it looks like we're going to be going dumping. I better call Nancy up and let her know I'm going. Oh, may I speak to Nancy, please? Yeah, hi, babe. Listen, Dave Want just called, and he got a hot tip on a dump, and he wants to go dumping, and I told him. Hello? 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 Must have got cut off. Well, I'll leave her a note. But anyway, in conclusion, I hope that my method that I showing you is giving you some ideas of how to clean cans and answered some questions you might have had. But right now I gotta run. I told Dave I'd pick him up in 4 or 5 hours, and there's a dump to be dug and somebody's gotta do it. We'll see.